peace, only war.
What's up, guys? It's Mike from 40K Dirtbags, and this is the full battle report based off the short that I made last week. I'm playing my buddy Josh from my local gaming store. Josh is the dude who I cut my teeth with originally with 40K. He's the guy who not only introduced me to the game, but introduced me to the general atmosphere of a local gaming store when I started going there with my son Jace. So I owe a lot to him, and although we don't get to play too often nowadays, it's always great to come back and spend time with him. I'll have the links for the list down below, but I'll go over the list when I show you the deployment phase. This is the mission we chose to do. Haven't worked on Dawn of War in a while, so again, it's good to change up and focus on missions that may stress your list a little bit in general. And Dawn of War deployment is one where, at least in my opinion, for me, it can be an easy trap of spreading out too far. So again, you guys will see how I maneuvered around that. Priority targets and chosen battlefields, so we get to choose where we want the objective markers based off of the roll-off. Again, this is a hold 1, hold 2, and then hold 3 by the end of the game. So Josh won the roll-off for deployments, so he was able to set up his 3, and I was able to set up my 2. So a couple things for this mission in general. So the rules are right now, it needs to be 6 inches away from a board edge and 9 inches away from another objective. So 1 has to be in your zone, and then minimum 1 has to be wholly outside of your zone. So for me, I put my first one right here, and then I put my second one just outside the zone, but I'm still able to hold it turn 1 from inside of my zone with my cultists. Josh put his right here in his zone, and then put these 2 on the outside. Keep in mind, you may lose the roll-off for attacker defender. So in my opinion, I think if you're the guy who gets the 3rd objective, put it somewhere that's mutually good for both of you, just so you don't run the risk of loading up one side, lose the roll-off, and now your opponent sees what you did and then switches sides. So just keep that in mind. So for deployment, I put my Nurglings right here. I chose to put them over there because he has more infiltrate units than I do. So I knew if I put 1 down here, then he'd be able to control, over half the board. So I decided to put in the middle, instead. Then he put his scouts out here. Something to keep in mind, even though scouts have the ability to scout move, I would avoid putting any units on objectives too early in the game, just in case your opponent gets overwhelming force. So because I have these 2 objectives, the hope is that the cultists are going to be able to sticky both objectives turn 1. So I strung out my cultists, like this. I loaded more up on this side of the board, albeit this is my main, these are the main objectives that I'm going to fight over. I put my Warp Talons right here, right on the line, behind this area terrain. I put my bikes over on this side. I had thought about putting my bikes over here, but, just with these angles here, I wasn't able to hide all 3 bikes, and I don't want to lose my bikes early in the game at all. I put Abaddon right in the center. He's next to a Rhino with my 2x5 Chosen with 2 Lords, my Vindicator, and then my Forge Fiend right here. Again, you can see where Josh put his scouts. He's got a Impulsor with a 6-man Sword Brethren unit right here. He's got a Lancer, his Land Raider Redeemer with 6 Aggressors, and the Biologist guy. 5 Intercessors right here to make his home objective sticky, another Lancer, and then this Impulsor over here with High Marshal Helbrecht and another Sword Brethren squad. Thinking about my general strategy, so again, screening, in my previous video, screening is really important, but the downside to screening is it does open you up to early game charges. So once he put that second scout squad there, I put my Warp Talons over here to just deal with that screen, and then also maybe get a slingshot charge into, you know, whatever he presents over here, which you guys will see a little bit later. Again, these are the two objectives that I'm going to attempt to hold all game, and then I'm going to shoot anything that comes to this objective, and then launch out my Chosen to go fight over whatever this objective is to deny his primary as much as possible. So Josh got turn 1. Unfortunately, sometimes you just draw not the best secondaries, so he got Bring It Down and Behind Enemy Lines, neither of which he was able to accomplish turn 1. So he decided just to stage and just prepare for the next turn, which again, I mean, that it is what it is, and that happens. So he scout moved the scouts and then moved them up here to create a screen, and then he loaded up this objective pretty heavily with the Impulsor and the Sword Brethren squad over here. He moved his advanced his Lancer up. He moved the Land Raider Redeemer over slightly. He brought these Intercessors out to again start taking out my screens. He didn't want to expose this Land Raider too early, knowing that a Forge Fiend and a Vindicator with Abaddon's full rerolls could totally nuke this vehicle early game. He advanced the Impulsor with Hellbreak over here. Put those, advanced those scouts back to create a screen, and then he staged his other Lancer right here to cover down this main firing line. And that was essentially the end of his first turn. Over to me, I got Bring It Down and Extend Battle Lines. So I already got Extend Battle Lines because I already hold an objective in the midfield, but now I need to kill a vehicle. So in my mind, the first thing I wanted to do was create, and my bikes came off at the end of his turn. Quick note about that. If I draw my cards too early and don't pull my bikes off, I'm not going to be like, hey man, I meant to pull the bikes off. So if you have a unit that can come off the board at the end of your opponent's turn, a good rule of thumb is to either declare that it's going to come off at any point in that turn, but definitely pull them off before you pull your cards. All right, so I wanted to keep, so I have a couple things in mind. One, I need to kill a vehicle, and two, I need to start cracking this heavy objective, and then to deny the primary, and then also I need to keep in mind that this Land Raider has assault ramp with again the aggressors, and the aggressors can do devastating damage in melee and in combat. So I want to mitigate that. So what I did there was I just advanced the Nurglings up just to create a screen. I know I said stay off the objectives, but in this I felt it was more important to roadblock this and this unit as much as possible. So I set up 2 screens for that. I ended up advancing and charging my Warp Talons in to hit this screen and just to tie up his transports, because again, me running transports the last year or so, I know how powerful they are, but the biggest limiting factor of the transports is getting tied up early, and then your heavy hitting unit is just way out of position. I got this Chosen squad out to advance and charge up into here. I'll go over that a little bit later. Moved the Rhino up a little bit just to again stage behind this wall. I moved this Vindicator out to shoot at this Lancer. I moved the Forge Fiend up a little bit. I didn't want to expose him too early. I've actually been using the Forge Fiend a little less aggressively in general, and I try to use my Vindicators more so in the early game, mainly because they're harder to kill than a Forge Fiend. And like I said, I advanced the Cultist up just to create this double screen because I need to protect my firepower for as long as possible. So the Chosen went up with the advance and charge. He declined to move the scouts. You know, I think they have like they can move 6 inches. If I get within 9, he declined to do that, which I think was maybe an issue. But again, you know, having the CP for later game, you know, that's a hard decision, you know, to make. But what I was able to do was charge my 5 regular Chosen into the Scout Squad, and then because everything was base that could base, my Lord was able to move up and get hits and finish off that Lancer. Once the Lancer was destroyed, his 6-man squad got out of Sword Brethren, and he stayed on the objective just to make sure that he would control that objective over there. Over on this side, the Warp Talons easily nuked the scout screen, and then I was able just to tie up this transport over here. Back over to Josh. So we got his 10 for primary. He kept behind enemy lines, and he got area denial. So what did he do? Well, he had to deal with this squad right now. So he got his Hellbreak squad out. They're eventually going to charge into the Warp Talons. He moved these guys up to get area denial. He just needs to take out this screen, which he does with the Land Raider. Land Raider comes up over here, trying to fade to a side to protect himself from my firing angles. He moved this Lancer up to get out of the way, and he moved his Sword Brethren up to engage my Chosen. He put 3 Inceptors down over here, and then he put his Assassin over here as well for max behind enemy lines. He was down quite a bit of points turn 1, so although it was a little risky, and you'll see the issue with kind of being too aggressive, trying to gain too many points back early on in my next turn. At the end of his movement, I rapid ingressed my Warp Talon squad over here, and my strategy was to, in order to take out the Sword Brethren squad, knowing that they have Fight on Death, I'm going to need to charge in 2 units. So in the next turn, my Chosen will come out, and my Warp Talons will come in, and I'm trying to box him in and hit him from 2 sides. Again, the Land Raider easily flame throws the Nurglings, getting him area denial. These guys move up, and they, again, easily take out my Warp Talons, and that's fine. And then this squad easily takes out my my Chosen squad. He did vect my full rerolls to wound because I needed to use that for the first Chosen squad in turn 1. So I declined to Fight on Death because I needed to save CP before the next turn. And then, again, Profane Zeal is now 2 CP. Over to me, I got Tempting Target and deployed Teleport Homer. So Teleport Homer is going to be easy. I've got Nurglings to do that, but he made this his Tempting Target. So the objective that is fully loaded with a Lancer, 5 Sword Brethren, and then he's got his Land Raider here with 6 Aggressors with the Biologist ready to go. So pretty difficult task for me. So again, I get this Chosen squad out, and I advance them up. I move the Cultist up as well. And unfortunately, I have to stay behind line of sight because I don't want to get overwatched with these flamers. So I'm going to have to charge through walls, albeit the charge is a little bit further, but that's the risk that you have to take sometimes. So I baited him by, I don't remember which one I used. I'm pretty sure I moved the Chosen up first, and then he did do the fallback 6 inches with these guys to kind of screen a little bit more into the Land Raider, but that was fine because, again, like I said, I was trying to hit this unit with the Warp Talons and the Chosen all together. I moved the Rhino out because, again, I don't want to expose this Forge Fiend too early, so what I was hoping for is between the Reaper autocannon from Abaddon's unit, the Chosen advancing and shooting, the Rhino, and then the little shots from the Vindicators, I can take out this 5-man Intercessor squad. The Warp Talons move up. Again, I have to stay behind this area terrain so I don't get overwatched. And I have to deal with this Assassin. So if someone presents an Assassin early in the game like this, you definitely want to take out that unit. That unit alone can score so many points. It comes up, it comes down. It's got Fight First. It's got 4-up invul. I mean, it's got like all of the things. So I put my bikes with it right at 9, and then most of the shooting of the Cultist squad is closer to him. So like the Flamer, the Heavy Stubber, and the Grenade Launcher, and then I strat reserved my my other Vindicator right here. So over into my shooting phase, again, this is in the short, so this Vindicator, big guns into the Inceptors. That's another unit that's just super frustrating, even though it's only 3 guys. I try to kill that as soon as possible. And then the little guns go into the Intercessors. Again, second Vindicator goes into the Lancer. Actually, I want to say I shot this one first because I wanted to get rid of the Lancer, but either way, he spiked high, nuked the Lancer, so that was good, and then little guns back in the Intercessors, taking out the Lancer. And then again, like I said, between the Chosen, Reaper autocannon, and the Rhino, I was able to finish off the rest of these Intercessors. Between the bikes, I had to overcharge the plasma, and then also a little bit of shooting from the cultist to take out this assassin. So moving to the charge phase. So he's got fight on death, and this is my tempting target. So I need to make sure I sequence this properly, that at the end of the day, I am controlling the objective at the end of my turn. So I move in, I tag as many Sword Brethren as possible, so they have to fight that trash unit, the Warp Talons, and then I charge in my my Chosen, tagging, I think it was only like 2 guys from that Sword Brethren squad. So in the swing back for the fight on death, it's minimal guys going into that Chosen squad. So the Lord goes first. I pop all the buffs, and they easily take out that Sword Brethren squad. They fight on death, take out the entire Warp Talon squad, and then 2 Chosen, which again, this is exactly what I wanted, and I was okay with sacrificing that unit, the Warp Talon unit, in order to take out the Sword Brethren unit and then hold that objective. So at this point, it's not looking too great for Josh. He gets capture enemy outpost and then engage in all fronts. So again, like I said, a little aggressive using the assassin and the Inceptors early game, and like I said, this is where it affected him, because now he doesn't have the ability for 3-inch deep strike anymore, and then the assassin is already gone. So he's kind of in dire straits right now. So what does he do? He gets the aggressors out and then goes behind this line of sight blocking terrain here, so they can't be shot from this angle. And then his intent was to take out these Nurglings, mainly for investigate signals in case I got that later in the game. He got the dudes Hellbricked inside this Impulsor, and then he did an advance roll. I think he re-rolled the advance roll, trying to get this Impulsor as far as possible to get at least some points for engage, but it just didn't work out, and he wasn't able to get that far. He moved the Land Raider back a little bit for the turn, kind of more like a defensive posture, just getting ready for the following turn, and then he moved his Lancer out just a little bit, just enough to see this unit right here. So again, takes out the Nurglings, takes out my Chosen, and that is the end of his turn. Over to me. I score my 10 for primary, and I get Cleanse and Secure No Man's Land. So for this one, I was only able to get 1 for Secure No Man's Land and 1 for Cleanse, which was fine. So I advanced this Vindicator over here just in case I get investigate signals. I get this guy over here, and I start kind of shifting over this way because I still need to deal with Hellbricked over here. I advanced the Rhino out, and now I decided to get my Forge Fiend out to deal with this this Lancer over here. Moved Abaddon's unit. They unfortunately need to cleanse, which is fine. So I left the bikes specifically for this. Again, how to deal with transports. Transports on board edges are really dangerous places for them. And you guys will see how I was able to, again, just tie up that Impulsor and just keep Hellbricked out of the fight. I moved my Cultist back a little bit. just to mainly load up this objective, just in case all of this goes horribly for me, and then, you know, Hellbreak gets out, and then he's able to get capture an enemy outpost at a later turn. Again, if it's possible to get capture enemy outpost, it's not a bad idea to keep it, because it is 8 points. That's one of the best single secondaries. So over to me and my shooting. I take out this Lancer. My bikes charge up, and I do this wrap and trap right here. And that was really it for the end of my turn. Over to Josh. Again, he kept capture enemy outpost and defend stronghold. So he moves the Land Raider up to tow onto this center objective. He moves his aggressors up to, again, regain primary on this objective, and then he risked the desperate breakout for the impulsor, so that did work out in his favor, just to kind of, again, move his assets back, because again, I know at the end of the game he wants to hold at least 3 objectives, because again, that could be a 15-point swing at the end of the game. I don't remember what shot the Forge Fiend. I think it was the Land Raider, but just with all of its shooting, the Forge Fiend goes down. The Forge Fiend was also wounded. I think I did like 4 mortals of myself in the previous turn, so the Forge Fiend went down pretty quickly, but I was okay. I was okay losing the Forge Fiend at this point. Over to me, I have Storm Hostile and Engage on all fronts, and again, trying to deny Josh as many points as possible. I want to take away his ability for Defend Stronghold at the end of this turn. So the bikes advanced up here just to get out of the way. Also for Engage on all fronts, just in 3 table quarters. I moved Abaddon and his guys back. This Rhino actually ended up just moving 12 and then charging in to tag this Land Raider and then take over Defend Stronghold. This was stickied in the beginning, so I needed to put some sort of unit on there, and my Warp Talons were already out of the fight. I brought the Vindicator up slightly just to put some shots into these guys, and then this Vindicator came up just to put some shots into the Land Raider. And this is more or less the end of the game. So he did end up getting Defend Stronghold and deployed Teleport Homer. So let's see what he did there. So we got Hellbreak out again to deal with this Rhino. So we moved him up over there. He moved the Impulsor over here to get deployed Teleport Homer. And, of course, Hellbreak is going to take out this Rhino very easily, and now he's holding these 3 objectives by the end of the game. There wasn't really anything much for me to do. Again, I'm not going to get capture enemy outpost, and then there's no way for him to affect my defense stronghold. So I was able to get that at the end of the game, only holding these 2 objectives. Cool. So that's all I got for you. Let me know in the comments any questions that you have, and I'll see you guys next time.